and make peace with the fact that you do need men. A lot of these women talk about you don't need men. You're saying, the women who say that, I laugh at you. I'm like, mankind has civilized the world in general and made it so comfortable enough to where you honestly think you don't need a man. Yet, if there's something that you have and a man wants, you cannot stop him. You can't. You work at an organization that was put together, built, and run by men, on roads that men built, in a house constructed by men, with plumbing by men. You go to the grocery store, and the companies, men run the world. So stop talking about you don't need it, because if you had to give back everything that's man-made or man-contributed, you would have nothing. Because women don't build, they nest. And so many women, since the caller asked, black women in particular, are at odds with their very female nature. They don't like it. A lot of women feel like being a woman makes you weak, and I don't want to be weak because that means I'm going to be taken over and I'm going to be done. And that's what the therapy comes in. You're at odds with your feminine nature, and you are the weaker vessel. And you need to go sort that out with a therapist. And then when you get your head together, I'm sure there'll be plenty of men out here who would love to date you. But the guy you want probably would have gone on down the path. All right, so we're going to do Stacy. I've already had you here, Stacy. But I will let you say your final piece. Let me get Stacy in here. Stacy, go ahead. 28, right? Birmingham. All right, sis. Here's the thing. You got, let me make sure we're on the same page. I know a lot of this stuff is hard to hear because, unfortunately, we have far more men like Steve Harvey, and a lot of guys like that who are calling you queens and telling you you're just fine the way you are. I listened to a white man on a platform with a black woman telling women who were size 14 that they were not obese. They just think they are. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that.
Let me finish.
Okay.
And the point is, when you are fed that ain't nothing wrong with you, it's always somebody else, it makes you comfortable. And the problem is, comfort kills. You knew if you wanted something in this world, you had to go to college and get a degree, right?
Right.
That was a sense of survival. I got to do this or I'm going to live life at a lower economic status. And if that reality and you were willing to act upon that, do you act upon that same reality when it comes to a mate?
No, I agree with you though, but I think when you talk in terms of survival, we don't think of men as being that sole source for our survival as another person.
Right. Well, you know what's changed a lot of that though, Stacey? You know what's changed a lot of that?
What? Mm-hmm.
Coronavirus.
Yeah,
because
I mean, I work from home, but
here's the thing: a lot of women here in Atlanta were on that same stuff too. But if you watch shows like The Walking Dead and these post-apocalyptic worlds where society falls apart, you're a smart woman. If society fell apart tomorrow, or tomorrow you woke up and there was a zombie apocalypse, can you really protect yourself if civilization falls apart? If there's no police, no fire, I mean, all the stuff you have, how you gonna keep it?
So wait, you think a man can have any more strength than there's a zombie apocalypse?
Well, you're a STEM person, right?
Yes.
All right, so let's say you need to open a jar. Do women possess the typical hand strength to open jars? Or do they have to be specially made?
Right.
No. Because, how about this? Let's take it away from human beings. Where do you see individual females surviving in the wild by themselves?
Polar bears?
Go ahead. Even if I give you polar bears, go ahead.
I mean, pretty much just kind of bears. But other than that, I mean, I see what you're saying. Like lionesses gather in a group and they all take
because
care.
Women need a group to survive. See, sadly, you sound like you're not even in touch with you, really what you are. You honestly sound like you think we're the same.
No, not at all. I don't think men really can clean as well as women. And
but that's
you know,
but here, man. But honestly, that comes way down. See, we've taken away the survival needs: food, water, shelter. You're talking about first world problems. And what it is right now, mankind has civilized the world so much to black women are leading the charge thinking you don't need your men. But guess what? Effectively, you've been separated from your leadership, your headship, and your mate to be out here by yourself. Well, guess what? Who makes better economic decisions overall, men or women?
I think men.
Right. But guess what? If you want to take advantage of a $1.1 trillion spending power, the best way to get a black woman's money is separated from a black man. That's why you spend the most of anybody and have the most student loan debt and everything else. An uncovered woman is a boon to a society because you are tied there. You need everything. You need it all. And like I said, coronavirus showed that you single women one thing in particular. You had to go to the grocery store yourself. You didn't have nobody that could go do it for you and risk dying. You had to go out and you had to go while other women were at home with their husbands, with their kids, and in their shelter, who had men to go out. You had to go fend for yourself.
Right.
And that was in a decent time. What happens you go to the grocery store and there was nothing? You saw the fights that start breaking out. Do you realize that I don't think a lot of you women realize how fragile society is. And by yourself, you cannot survive. You need a man next to you. If nothing else, but we've taken away men's position to where a lot of women are honestly like, well, damn, if I can't have what I want, I'd rather have nothing. Okay, and that's what you'll get, nothing. And you'll die alone.
No, I do think that you're absolutely right when it comes to men and women needing each other. Like you said, in the business aspect, I think men make better decisions economically, and women have that kind of...
I need to correct you on something. This is going to sting. Men don't need you. Men don't need women. Men want women. The only thing.
How are they going to have kids?
Okay, that is the only need a man has for a woman, and I don't want to get that far down the path, but they are working on an artificial womb right now, and that's sad. We have reduced women down to a womb. But why have we done it? Because here is the net of it. We have a 50+% divorce rate in this country, right?
Right.
8 out of 10 divorces in the black community are filed by who?
The woman?
Black women. 8 out of 10. So 1 in 4 black women can never expect to be married, but 8 out of 10 black women are walking away from their marriages. If you simply took away the ability to file no-fault divorce and just remove women's ability to walk in and out of marriages frivolously, you could increase the marital rate. Men want relationship. Men would prefer to be married. It's you guys who can't seem to figure it out. You're never happy. And I won't say you're never happy. You're never content. It's always something ain't right. Something ain't right. And I'm being facetious, but every other race of women in this Western country has never done this. They've never separated and say we don't need our man. That's why you're the most uncovered, the most unprotected, and then the very men you need, you don't know, you don't understand, and far too many look at black men, with a low level of contempt and disrespect, whether it's rightful or not.
And Kevin,
go ahead.
I agree with you completely, but has any other race in this country really gone through, and I'm not going to make it we went through so much, because life throws things at people and you just have to move on from it. But at the same time, I think we just need to take into consideration the things that we have to overcome, whereas other people may not have to overcome such things.
Such as what?
And then we need
Such as what?
Economic struggle. Like you mentioned in another podcast, you said, we got through slavery, Jim Crow. I mean, just all these violent.
But what I need you to understand is, prior to 1965, black people were the most married in this country, 80%. So we came out of chattel slavery, black laws, Jim Crow, segregation, church bombings, Rosewood, the massacre up in Tulsa, all that. But after 1965, what happened? We were the most married of any group when we had all those horrible things. And this is what a lot of black women don't like to hear. The government came. There were a lot of factors that happened. A lot of factors. Integration happened. The change. Hold on. But the change in the economy happened. But the biggest change was in the Great Society, and offered a choice: government intervention or government assistance, or your man. And a lot of people say, well, if you're sitting there starving and the man ain't working, anybody would be foolish to turn down food. It was not that dire. I was alive when I saw this. I saw men having to sleep in their car when a lot of these government workers were coming by and they're doing the checks. There were men in those projects. But when like it or not, sis, black women, you threw away your men. You threw them away. And